Well, good morning, all you like minded crafty people. Thank you so much for joining me at my YouTube channel, Juanette's Paper Crafts. I'd like to start off first by apologizing for sounding a little froggy. I have had a little bit of a problem with my asthma. It is getting much better, but I know I sound just a little bit hoarse. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in the United States, so any of the products that are featured here in my YouTube videos are for sale. I would love to be able to be your demonstrator or to have you join my team. The set that I am featuring today is from our Sale-A-Bration catalog, and this set you can actually earn for free. Now, I have slowed this down a bit just because I wanted to take a moment and thank everyone for all their wonderful, positive comments concerning one of my last videos where it featured the lighthouse and sailboat scene building card. It really just warmed my heart to have all those wonderful things said. I really do appreciate it. And I appreciate all my subscribers and hope that I can continue to bring you wonderful videos that you will be able to learn from. Now, as you can see, this card here is called a Magic Birthday Card. And when you first look at it, it looks fairly simple, but as you pull up on the tabs, it reveals the colored portion of whatever image you have decided to stamp. So I'm going to show you how I make this card. Now, like I said, I use the Happy Birthday to You Sale-A-Bration stamp set that I received free. You receive it free by ordering $50 worth of product. Again, here I'm showing you how it is actually a two-pocket card, and so it has acetate on the front of the card or the first pocket, and then a colored image in the second pocket. So when you pull it up, it reveals the colored image. So let's get started on the supplies that you will need to make this card. So you will need a little, and you can do this off your computer or if you have a stamp set, but a little tag or circle punch that will show people what they need to do for the card. That's the trio, detailed punch. Then you will need some double-sided tape. You will need some Stays-On ink because that's what you use to stamp on your acetate. On one of the cards, I used Lovely Lipstick, and on one of the other cards, I used Blackberry Bliss. I am showing you some ribbon here, but I ended up changing and not putting the ribbon on the pull tab. I ended up using the circle tab punch instead. You will need rectangle dies, or you could use circle dies. You could use any kind of die to give your opening in your card. You will need some Whisper White pieces for the stopper. And all the measurements will be down below in the description box. Now, for the rectangle stitch dies, my first card, I used that larger one. But the card I'm going to be showing you today is a smaller one. And I learned from a demonstrator in the UK. Her name is Jan B. And she explains how she numbers her dies so she can tell you which die to use. She starts with the smallest die and calls that number 1. Then the second die would be number 2. So what she says is the smallest die is the smallest number and then goes up. So I will be using the number 5, rectangle stitched die for this project. Then I used designer series paper for the outside of the card, and look at how beautiful this paper is. Now, what Stampin' Up! Has done differently with this new mini catalog that we have, they have actually printed pictures of what colors coordinate with this designer series paper, which I hope they continue with all of their catalogs. But look at how beautiful some of this paper is, and it is double-sided. It is 6 by 6 in measurement. Beautiful paper. Lots of pretty images, perfume bottles, shoes, handbags, and then some paper that you could just use as a background. Then to layer your designer series paper, you will need a piece of lovely lipstick, and that is 5 3/8 by 4 inches. Then you will need a piece of a window sheet or acetate, and that is 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And then you will need the exact same size of a piece of Whisper White cardstock to stamp your second image on that will lay behind the acetate. So again, that's 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And you see how the acetate lays over the top? And once we color the back Whisper White piece, it will reveal how this card works. So you will need 2 pieces of 8 1/2 by 5 1/2 Whisper White cardstock, and you're going to score it at 1/4 inch and this is on the long side. So lay it up in your scoreboard on the long side, the 8 1/2 inch side. You're going to score it at 1/4 inch. And then again at 4 3/8. And you're going to do that on both pieces of your cardstock. Then you're going to take one of those pieces, fold and burnish it on those score lines. Well, actually, you're going to do it to both of them. Oh. Fold and burnish both of them. Then you're going to layer your solid color of cardstock and your designer series paper. And this is another little tip that I got from someone else that I saw. She had put wet paper towels in the bottom of this little jar, and that jar is actually from a yogurt glass jar. Then she turns her glue upside down with the lid open, and it does not dry out. So you're able to continue to use your glue without putting the lid on and off as you're completing your project. I was just plugging in my computer, so that was that little ding right there. So then you take that number 5 inch rectangular stitch die, and you're going to Put it through your die cutting machine, and you may have to run it through a couple of times because you are going through two pieces of paper. You're going to line it up in the middle of your layered pieces there. Then take one of the pieces of the Whisper White cardstock. You're going to have your tab on the left-hand side there. You're going to line up that frame and mark with a pencil where you will lay the stitched rectangle die to cut out the Whisper White piece. So you can see I'm just taking a pencil and I'm marking where I will lay my stitch rectangle die. Just put a little bit of tape over it and run it through your die cutting machine. And you can use that center piece that was cut out on some other card. It's very pretty paper. So just take a mono eraser and erase off any of the little pencil marks that were there. Then take wet glue, or I suppose you could use a tape runner. Apply some to the back of your frame to lay over the top of the Whisper White. And this is going to be one of your pockets. And actually the front pocket. Then take some tear and tape, and this is, I believe, 1/8 of an inch. It could be a 1/4 inch. And apply it to that small tab on that left-hand side. Remove the backing off that double-sided tape. Fold it over with that small tab tucked under. Lining up the back there with the adhesive so that you have a nice little pocket there. And that is the front of our card. Then you're going to take a 1-inch circle punch, and you're going to punch out a little notch at the top of that framed area. And because you are actually punching through 3 pieces of paper or cardstock, it is a little bit difficult, but our Stampin' Up! Punches are able to handle it. I was just needed to kind of stand up and apply my pressure on my desk with my palm. So now the top of the pocket has a little notch. So take your window sheet or your acetate and stamp whatever image you want on the top of it, and then set it aside to dry. And again, that was 5 1/4 by 4 inches. Then take exactly the same piece measurement and Whisper White, 5 1/4 by 4. You will need a Stamparatus positioning tool to do this so that it is stamped in exactly the same place as the acetate. Isn't that an absolutely beautiful image? And I can't remember if I mentioned it, but the first part of February, I think 2nd or 3rd of February, you will be able to order the die that matches that cake. And it is part of our celebration, but you will have to buy it. So you'll get the stamp set free, but you have to buy the dies. Then I stamped Happy Birthday with lovely lipstick. And as you can see, then when I do lay the acetate over the Whisper White, it actually almost looks like just one piece. Then I took my detailed trio punch and rounded off the corners at the bottom. It does assist or help a little bit more with pieces of cardstock and acetate sliding in and out of the pockets. The acetate I needed to trim a little bit because it didn't completely cut through. But that's easy to do because you don't actually see the bottom of the card because you apply some stoppers to it so that it doesn't actually come out of the card. And I'm going to be showing you that in just a couple of minutes. So then on your second piece that you have not cut out with the rectangle stitch die, you're also going to apply tear and tape to that small little tab there, that 1/4 inch tab. Now, these are the strips they are 3.5 by 3/8 of an inch. And I said 4 to 6 of them because I wanted them to be thick so that it does stop the card. So I layered, I think it was either 2 or 3 together, glued them together so that they were thicker. And you're going to apply one of those stoppers to the top of that pocket there. So one of the stoppers is only on that back pocket, and it's toward the top. Then I took liquid glue, and I'm going to adhere the 2 pockets together. This is called 3-in-1 glue. It's a solvent glue. And I like it because it is not water-based, so it doesn't warp your cardstock, and it makes your cardstock almost feel like cement, like it's very heavy. It's really a very nice glue. So then you're going to take your Whisper White piece that you have stamped your image on, and you're going to put your other stopper on, and you're going to glue it to the bottom of the back of that piece. Now, you see that small little hole up toward the top? That was when I was going to put ribbon to be able to pull the card out, but then I end up changing that. So in the final card, I don't have that circle. So glue the stopper to the bottom of that piece. Well, sorry about that quick transition into the music while I colored my image. All the colors that I used were up on the screen. So then you see, oh, it changed colors. Well, it's because I made two different cards, and that was the lovely lipstick. The other one that I had colored was Blackberry Bliss. So then what I decided to do to adhere the acetate to the colored piece was put a small 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape to the top, because before I only had ribbon holding them together and they would slide from side to side a little bit, and so it made the image look like it was blurry. So I felt like if I adhered the two of them together up at the top, it wouldn't slide as much and not look blurry, and that did work. So what you're going to do is line up your acetate over the top of your colored image exactly, then adhere it down with that double-sided tape, and it is only adhered up at the very top. Then I took the circle tab punch and punched it out. Love this circle punch, especially when we get a new catalog, so that I could put my tabs on my catalog so I can find things easily. But I didn't realize I was going to be using it for card making too, so it's a good little punch to buy. So you're going to apply some glue to the circle punch there, the tab punch. And you only want it up at the very top of those two pieces, because you want to make sure that as you slide it down into your pockets, it doesn't go too far. Now, on one of the cards that you see at the beginning of the video, I did put some Daffodil Delight washi tape on the top of the card, and that looked really pretty. Then to decorate it, I used some of our Daffodil Delight enamel dots. I put one at the top there, just underneath the pool here, to bring in a little bit of that other color that's in the cake. And then I wanted to decorate the frame a little bit. Now this is also one of our free items from Sale-A-Bration. It is called the Small Bloom Punch. I punched out a few little flowers using the inside of the doubled layered that I had cut out of that using the rectangle dies. Curled up the edges of the flower a little bit, added some a dimensional on the back of it, and adhered it to the front of that frame, and then put some lovely lipstick enamel dots in the middle of it. So this is how you're going to assemble your card, and it actually is very easy. So you see you have a front pocket and a back pocket. And what you're going to do is take your acetate piece and slide it into the front pocket, and then your colored piece in the back pocket. It's a little fiddly to do, but it can be done. Yeah, you can do it. Hang in there. You can do it. Oh. And those stopper pieces that we glued to the cardstock keeps it from sliding out once you slip it in past those areas, and you're going to be able to see that. This is a fantastic card, especially for children. They would have so much fun playing with it, so you could stamp any kind of image with it. Again, thank you so much for joining me at my YouTube channel. I appreciate each and every one of you. I would love to see pictures of you, any of these cards that you make, and I will see you on my next tutorial. Goodbye and have a great day.